Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago, former National Security Minister Marvin Gonzalez, Marvelous Marva, has criticized the government's handling of its decision to designate 3 Middle Eastern organizations as terrorist entities following a High Court order freezing property linked to the groups under Trinidad and Tobago's Anti-Terrorism Act. My response: I hope all the Trinis realize how devious the PNM is. Hezbollah, Houthis, IRGC, and Hamas, that's just to name a few, and not all were, came under that designation anyhow, but some of them were. Hezbollah and the IRGC. I don't think the Houthis were mentioned though. So Hezbollah, Houthis, IRGC, and Hamas are well-known terrorist groups which publicly declare their mission to destroy Israel and any other nations led by infidels, so-called infidels, including the great United States of America. Same individuals who bawl genocide all the time when there are actual wars taking place against terrorists, they don't mind the whole of Israel being erased. Neither America, with a population of over 300 million people. Those individuals don't care about genocide. All they care about is their fanatic sorts of ideologies. Over 40,000 Iranian protesters were murdered by the Ayatollah regime before the recent war began, and others have been executed by the state since then. Is that what the great PNM patriots support? At the end of the day, let's be very clear about something. Marvelous Marva did not come out and say that he actually condemns the designation of these terrorist groups. But he couldn't help but just oppose for opposing's sake. And that's what I can't stand with the PNM. Because the PNM, one thing, you must get jacket. One thing, they were wise enough to refuse to allow individuals, radicalized individuals in Syria, who went to fight for the cause of the jihad of ISIS. They refused to allow them back into our country, which would have been a huge mistake. And even though I have always opposed the PNM due to their corruption and incompetence and socialist style of governance, even while Rowley was in office, I used to commend them for that. Tell them they were doing something really good by refusing to allow these radical jihadists to re-enter Trinidad and Tobago. And now a lot of the activists are trying to persuade our Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar, to bring these individuals back. You can imagine how much, what a serious risk that will be taking when it pertains to national security in Trinidad and Tobago. It already appears as though there are a lot of radicalized individuals living amongst us that we didn't even know were here. And yet to allow those from Syria to return as well, while they pretend as though they regret what it is they did. I don't think that's a wise idea. And of course, I don't think that Kamla Persad-Bissessar will do that either, especially after making this very significant decision recently. But at the end of the day, Marvelous Marva, who exactly did you want the Prime Minister to consult with before making this designation recently? You wanted her to go to the groups, all the various groups in Trinidad and Tobago, and ask them for their permission? Did any of you, did your Emperor Rowley ever go and consult with anyone before making any of his decisions? Relax yourself now, Marvin. At the end of the day, all you know for all yourself, that you don't actually even support those groups either. But you see, you know very well that a large portion of your base supports those groups. And that's why you don't want to offend them outrightly. Despite a reported drop in several categories of crime, including murders, Port of Spain South MP and former Minister in Ministry of National Security, Keith Scotland, has dismissed the ongoing state of emergency as an abject failure, arguing that violent crime continues despite the extraordinary measure. My response: how come Captain Colpot, the hero who was supposed to take crime straight down to zero, didn't complain about the SOE when Emperor Rowley was governing our nation? This level of hypocrisy and double standards in the PNM is extremely comical in one way, quite disturbing in another. Bear in mind that I have never supported using an SOE to reduce crime, which is, of course, is a long-term issue. I opposed it while the emperor was in office, Rowley, and I continue to oppose it even while Kamala Persad-Bissessar now is Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. You cannot use such draconian measures to address an issue that is ongoing. Crime continues to be a problem. And one of the main reasons that crime continues to be a problem is because of gang culture, which continues to be glorified by our DJs who will select to run the tune again. It is glorified all throughout TikTok. TikTok that has community guidelines, allows all sorts of very disturbing music to be played and used on their platform. And here locally in Trinidad and Tobago, the radio stations censor the songs but glorify it nevertheless. And then we want to know why crime continues. Indoctrination, people, as much as you all want to call it entertainment. It's not entertainment. It's called indoctrination. Minister of the People, Social Development and Family Services, Vandana Mohit, was joined by Minister of Education, Dr. Michael Dowlath, and Minister of Health, Dr. Lakram Bodo, as she participated in the 3rd annual Support Autism TNT 5K Run and Fun Walk at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy to Aruba in recognition of Autism Awareness Month. The event brought together families, advocates, and community partners in a strong show of unity and inclusion, while raising awareness and support for programs that empower autistic children, teens, and adults across Trinidad and Tobago. Definitely something that we need to become more invested in. We need to focus a lot more on that.
Weather report for Trinidad and Tobago. Sunday, April 19, 2026. General summary. The forecast for Sunday is mostly fair but slightly hazy. There is a 35% chance of light rain to isolated showers, primarily during the morning hours. Nighttime conditions will remain fair but slightly hazy with the possibility of an occasional brisk shower. Saharan dust. A mild concentration of Saharan dust remains in the atmosphere. Sensitive persons are advised to take the necessary precautions. Sea conditions. Moderate with waves in open waters reaching 1.5 meters to 2.0 meters and sheltered areas between 1.0 meters to 1.5 meters. Spring tides are currently in effect. Temperature and heat index. Maximum temperature, 31 degrees Celsius. Minimum temperature, 24 degrees Celsius. Heat index, expected to feel like 34 degrees Celsius. Wind and humidity. Wind, 05 to 35 kilometers per hour from the east to northeast to east to southeast. Humidity, ranging between 65% to 85%. Sun cycles. Sunrise, 5:49 a.m. Sunset, 6:14 p.m.
Regional news now. Agriculture Minister the Honorable Zulfikar Mustafa on Saturday underscored the government's continued commitment to transforming Guyana's agro-processing sector as he delivered remarks at the commissioning of the Canal No. 1 Polder agro-processing facility, investing a whole lot in the agricultural sector in Guyana, using their oil monies to develop their country. Trinidad and Tobago could have been the same way, though. But the PNM only knows to take resources and finances and make it disappear like a magician. The minister noted that for too long, Guyana has focused primarily on producing and exporting raw agricultural commodities, a situation that has limited the earning potential of farmers. He explained that the seasonal nature of crops combined with their perishability and fluctuating market demands has often prevented farmers from maximizing returns of their hard work or on their hard work. However, he said the government is now actively addressing those long-standing challenges through strategic investments in value-added production. Minister Mustafa highlighted that the $58.5 million facility was deliberately established in Canal Number 1, a community recognized as one of the most productive agricultural areas in Region 3, telling us serving the people of Guyana throughout the entire country. The National Water Commission in Jamaica says it has restored water supply to several communities in St. Mary, which were impacted on March 9th as a result of a defective pump. The NWC's regional manager for the Northeast, Richard Williams, said the pipe water was fully restored to Charlestown, Industry Pen housing scheme, and surrounding areas in St. Mary on Friday. Think about this. Most of the times I'm only hearing news reports from out of these specific areas. What about all the other parts of Jamaica that were impacted by the Hurricane Melissa and also different natural disasters that took place, incident flooding and so forth? We're not hearing much about anything taking place in those areas. Is it just not reaching the Jamaica Gleaner media house? Or is it that they're being neglected? Anybody that watching from Jamaica, I know I have some Jamaican viewers. Anybody watching from Jamaica, let me know what's going on in your country. The Trident charity recently launched a first-of-its-kind mock exam initiative in St. Michael, Barbados, to support over 100 primary school pupils ahead of the Barbados Secondary School's entrance examination. They have it later than us, boy. By simulating the high-stakes environment of the 11+, the program aims to demystify the testing process and alleviate student anxiety. We're going to alleviate that, though. No matter what. It's an exam. It's still going to be nervous. But anyhow, this dry run allows children to build the necessary confidence and stamina for the national assessment while providing a clear benchmark of the current academic standing just weeks before the official day. So kind of good in that way, because they will have an idea what will be the outcome when they have to do the real exam. They will know what grades they may probably end up receiving. But still, I mean, it still doesn't take away from that nervousness when you know you're going to do the actual examination, in my opinion. But it might reduce it to an extent. Beyond the simulation, the project focuses on closing learning gaps through strategic targeted support. By identifying specific weak areas in the mock results, educators and volunteers can provide focused interventions. Notably, students from the University of the West Indies Cave Hill campus are contributing to the effort by offering tutoring sessions following the exams. Yeah, we can't wait until the last minute to do that. Supposed to be doing that from probably standard 4, actually. This community-driven approach shifts the focus from simply providing exam supplies to actively leveling the academic playing field for students across the parish. Now, nevertheless, this is still good news, huh? In a statement, the Public Hospitals Authority said it has received no formal complaints regarding claims of unpaid overtime and outstanding mileage allowances raised publicly by Bahamas Nurses Union President Muriel Lightborn. The nurses acted up in Bahamas too, boy. The authority said no written or verbal grievances have been submitted through any institution under its management, adding that all overtime and mileage claims currently on record have been verified and paid in keeping with policy. Let's hope that they're actually speaking the truth, though. The officials we're talking about. The authority is urging the union president to bring any specific concerns directly to the office of the managing director, like what the association leaders should have been doing here in Trinidad and Tobago, consulting with the Ministry of Health and with the CPO, like how they would have done under the PNM. But anyhow, so the authority is urging the union president to bring any specific concerns directly to the office of the managing director, saying such matters are best handled through the proper internal channels for prompt resolution. But remember, at this point in time, it's the election season in Bahamas, so people want to raise certain issues into the public domain to probably kind of influence the outcome of the elections coming up very soon. International news now. President Trump announces historic reforms to accelerate access to new medical research and treatments based on psychedelic drugs. Trump will sign an executive order directing the FDA to expedite their review of certain psychedelics already designated as breakthrough therapy drugs. As long as it isn't anything like the 2021 stuff, might be very well beneficial to a lot of individuals, depending on the type of ailment that they have.
Today, I'm pleased to announce historic reforms to dramatically accelerate access to new medical research and treatments based on psychedelic drugs. In many cases, these experimental treatments have shown life-changing potential for those suffering from severe mental illness and depression, including our cherished veterans. Our veterans are having a tremendous hard time. You know, the suicide rate, we have it down a little bit, but they are having a hard time.
Senator John Fetterman told Fox News he is prepared to stand alone within his party in support of Israel. Fetterman says Israel has done no wrong in its joint military efforts with the United States against Iran and more recently Lebanon. He said, Israel's done what was necessary. Exactly. They have done what's necessary to get rid of terrorist individuals, terrorist organizations, or at least reduce the powers of these terrorist organizations that have publicly sworn and vowed to destroy Israel and have been attacking Israel, especially since the war with Iran. But Fetterman, a lot of the times, opposes a lot of what his Democrat Party believes in and stands for nowadays. Begs the question, why is he still a member of that party? Newly appointed DHS Secretary Mullen visited the southern border to meet with CBP agents and thanked them for protecting the homeland. Thanks to these patriots and President Trump, we have the most secure border in American history, and he's 100% correct about that. And that's something that the radical left doesn't like at all. They loved how millions of people were entering America illegally under the Biden administration, and it's only coming down to the ending of Biden's term in office. Then they started to acknowledge that there was a border crisis and said, we will try to come up with some sort of solution. And Kamala Harris said, vote for me and I will find the solution, when the solution was always there, plainly. Close the borders and put border patrol in place in order to prevent these individuals from just entering illegally into the country. Trump solved that problem since last year within what? Weeks, I think. Within weeks. That crisis basically ended. It was just about enforcement, people. And a lot of the border patrol officers will say that all the time. All we need are the powers to be able to enforce the law. But that's what Biden was not allowing. Now for the interesting facts segment, a garden becomes even better with a loyal friend by your side. A heartwarming viral movement shows a woman pointing where to plant while her dog happily digs the holes, making the perfect teamwork duo. That sounds really nice. I know some people might be saying, oh, why are you letting the animal have to do that? Come now, man. The dog are enjoying what he's doing or she's doing. Viewers loved watching the playful partnership turn simple gardening into something unforgettable. Similar pet helper stories have recently gone viral, showing how dogs bring joy to everyday life. Sometimes the best helpers have 4 paws, endless energy, and a tail that never stops wagging. They love their owners so much deeply. Animals really do. And of course, that type of emotion and things that they do, I continue to say that I honestly believe that animals do have living souls. They don't just act on instinct. They have living souls. They don't have a spirit like mankind. Mankind was created in the image of God, and therefore we have that 3-in-1, body, soul, and spirit. But they do have living souls, in my opinion.
Welcome to Real Conservative News Travel Adventures. The royal palaces of Abomey stand as a powerful testament to the legacy of the Kingdom of Dahomey, one of West Africa's most formidable empires. Located in southern Benin, this UNESCO World Heritage Site consists of a sprawling complex of earthen structures built by successive Jibasa kings between the 17th and late 19th centuries. Unlike typical European castles, the palaces are a series of interconnected courtyards and dwellings, each added by a new monarch to honor their reign while maintaining the sacred grounds of their predecessors. The architecture is renowned for its unique earthen walls adorned with intricate bas-reliefs. These clay carvings serve as a visual record of the kingdom's history, depicting military victories, royal symbols, and the legendary Dahomey Amazons, the elite all-female military regiment. The site houses a historical museum where visitors can view royal thrones mounted on human skulls, ceremonial weapons, and ornate tapestries that tell the story of a kingdom that resisted colonial influence for centuries. The craftsmanship of the buildings, despite being made from traditional mud brick and thatch, reflects a sophisticated understanding of structural design and symbolic art. Visiting the palaces provides a profound immersion into the living history of Benin. Beyond the museum exhibits, the site remains a place of deep spiritual significance where traditional ceremonies and royal rites are still practiced today. A walk through the sun-baked courtyards offers a sense of the discipline and power that once radiated from this capital city. For those exploring the cultural heart of West Africa, the royal palaces of Abomey offer an essential and sobering look at the strength, artistry, and complex heritage of the Dahomey people. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and we'll see you again tomorrow as our journey around the world continues.
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's news report. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe most of all. In Jesus' name.